This is Taiwan Insider, a weekly news roundup brought to you by Radio Taiwan International.
Every week, we give you an inside look at the biggest and most interesting stories coming out of Taiwan. I'm Natalie So.
And I'm Andrew Ryan, and this is your Week in a Minute.
The U.S. State Department has approved an arms package for Taiwan worth $2.2 billion. The package includes Stinger missiles and custom-made Abrams tanks. A strike by flight attendants at Taiwan's EVA Air ended Wednesday after nearly 3 weeks. Flight schedules are set to return to normal by the end of the month. Government agencies are set to declassify files on Taiwan's authoritarian White Terror period. The agencies have to report files with certain names or phrases, and political parties must hand over documents to the National Archives. President Tsai has set off on a trip to 4 of Taiwan's Caribbean allies. The trip will also include 2 extended stopovers in the U.S. Taiwan has won 5 gold medals so far at the Summer Universiade, a sporting event for university athletes. Gymnasts Li Zhikai and Tang Jiahong have won golds, and Taiwan's shooting team has been on target too. And that's your Week in a Minute.
Every week at the top of the show, we each come up with a word of the week that describes what we think about the news. Are you ready, Andrew, to guess my word?
Yes, let's see what you have.
Alrighty.
Super. Stupid. Street?
No,
Strengthen.
Strengthen. All right, you got it. Okay, strengthen. Well, this week, the U.S. State Department approved a big arms package for Taiwan, which could strengthen our defenses.
All right.
And also, Taiwan is trying to strengthen its democracy by transitional justice. And we'll be talking about that in today's show.
All righty. You ready for my word?
Yes.
Okay, let's have a look.
Extradition? No. Exonerate.
Yes.
Exoneration.
You can tell we've been talking about this in the newsroom. So why exoneration? It's a hard word, but a very important word. And basically, this is where somebody's name is cleared for a crime that they've been accused or convicted of in the past. And just recently, Taiwan exonerated more than 3,000 people, and we're going to tell you about that in today's show.
And what else is coming up on today's show? Well, we speak with Professor Maggie Lewis. She's an expert on criminal justice in Taiwan and China. We'll be talking about transitional justice with her. And also, we'll look into the mysterious death of a young Carnegie Mellon professor, Chen Wen-chen. Also on the lighter side, we look at what's new at the Taipei Zoo, and also a bingo sheet about cliches about Taiwan that's been trending on social media.
Also, have a look at this photo. So if it's too hot to bring your kids to the zoo this summer, there's another unexpected place where they can look for some animals. So where do you think this is? We'll have the answer for you at the end of our program in our parting shot.
We now turn to our top story. The U.S. State Department just approved a big arms package for Taiwan. Let's take a look at the military hardware Taiwan wants to buy.
The Stinger missile is portable and can be operated by one soldier. It's a precise infrared homing surface-to-air missile. Taiwan has always wanted to buy them. Now over 250 of them are a part of the $2.2 billion arms package, just sent by the U.S. State Department to Congress to approve in 30 days. Defense Ministry official Wu Bao-kun said,
"The arms will help strengthen Taiwan's defense capabilities and maintain regional peace and security. The Defense Ministry is grateful to the U.S. for this decision."
The package also includes 108 custom-made M1A2T Abrams tanks. The T stands for Taiwan. They're mobile and powerful, but some question if they're too big for Taiwan's roads. Army Chief of Staff Young Hai-min says there's no problem with them.
We've also procured support equipment to transport the vehicles. Taiwan's terrain is similar to that in Japan, Korea, and the UK, and their tanks are about as heavy at 63 tons. So, there is no problem with their mobility and technical usefulness.
This is the most significant arms package that the Trump administration has approved for Taiwan.
Many believe the U.S. Congress will approve the package, but China, of course, is calling on the U.S. to revoke the proposal.
Now we turn to a very important domestic story, which has largely gone under the radar here in Taiwan. Last week, Taiwan's government exonerated more than 3,000 people who were wrongly convicted or even executed for crimes during the authoritarian period in Taiwan, which lasted from 1945 to 1992.
This is part of the government's efforts to right the wrongs of the past. Nearly 6,000 people have had their names cleared since May 2018. Let's take a look at some images from Sunday. President Tsai Ing-wen presided over the ceremony. It was held at the Sheraton Grand Taipei Hotel, which was built at the location of a former detention center where a lot of political prisoners were held. Many of the victims and their family members were there on Sunday.
President Tsai unveiled the names of the people who were exonerated. As you can see, it's a huge list. She then unlocked a cage of white lilies symbolizing the freeing of political prisoners, and the flowers were given to the victims and their families.
One person whose name was cleared on Sunday was Presidential Office Secretary General Chen Ju. She was convicted of, quote, attempting to subvert the government using illegal means in 1980. That was for her role in the Kaohsiung incident of 1979, when she and other activists held a pro-democracy protest on Human Rights Day.
President Tsai has pledged to speed up the efforts of her administration to uncover the truth behind the Kaohsiung incident and many other dark periods in Taiwan's history. That's part of her administration's efforts in the area of transitional justice. But what exactly is transitional justice, and what does that look like in Taiwan? That's the subject of today's Taiwan Explained. In today's Taiwan Explained, I'm going to tell you about transitional justice and how it's being implemented here in Taiwan.
And we're going to give Andrew just 1 minute to do it. Ready?
I think so.
All righty, go.
All right. So, according to the United Nations, transitional justice is a society's attempt to come to terms with large-scale past abuses. Now, the term originated in the Nuremberg trials after World War II when they charged the Nazis and the Japanese for war crimes. Now, in Taiwan, transitional justice largely deals with the White Terror period. Now, that began in 1945 following the arrival of the Chinese nationalists, or KMT, in Taiwan. Chiang Kai-shek ruled with a heavy hand, and tens of thousands were imprisoned for actual or perceived crimes, and many thousands of people were executed. Now, martial law came to an end in 1987 in Taiwan proper and in 1992 on the outlying islands, which drew to a close the authoritarian period in Taiwan. Now, civic groups began pushing for transitional justice in the early 2000s. Then in 2018, an independent government agency called the Transitional Justice Commission opened its doors. So what are the main goals of the commission? Let's have a look. Right the wrongs of the past.
Time is up. That's all right. I'll let you finish. This is important.
This is a very important part, so I'm now going to slow down. Right the wrongs of the past, to declassify documents, remove symbols of totalitarianism, promote reconciliation, exonerate the victims, and preserve places where injustice occurred, places like these two prisons, which are now Taiwan's National Human Rights Museum.
So, Andrew, I have a question for you. What does the KMT think of transitional justice, since most of it about what happened when they were in power?
That's right. Well, they're not opposed to the concept of transitional justice. However, they do oppose what they feel is a partisan dig into the KMT's past. So they think that actually it should cover more than just the KMT rule in Taiwan. It should also cover former sex slaves, also the indigenous people in Taiwan, and Japanese colonial rule.
All right. Thanks, Andrew. And that's today's Taiwan Explained for this week.
Last Thursday, the government passed a law that will declassify thousands of classified and sensitive files held by the government and political parties. And in fact, there are huge fines or even prison terms for failure to comply.
Now, the Kuomintang is criticizing the law for focusing only on incidents that happened when they were in power. But those files can shed some light on some of the darkest moments in Taiwan's modern history.
Now, to put a name and a face on this story, we're going to tell you about the mysterious death of a promising young professor from Carnegie Mellon. Let's have a look. Chen Wen-chen graduated with a PhD in mathematics from the University of Michigan in 1978. He became an assistant professor at Carnegie Mellon University. Although photos show him as a carefree academic, he raised funds for activists opposed to Taiwan's authoritarian government and was reluctant to return to Taiwan.
Life was good for the young professor. Chen was married and had a young baby. His mother encouraged him to visit Taiwan, saying it would be safe. So in 1981, at the age of 31, he traveled with his family to Taiwan for the first time in 6 years. During that trip, the garrison command took him in for questioning twice, the second time for more than 12 hours.
The next day, Chen's body was discovered at National Taiwan University. Authorities say he committed suicide or had died of accidental causes. Secret communication between Washington and Taipei revealed that the U.S. suspected Chen had been tortured. They said that his injuries were not consistent with suicide or accidental fall. In the United States, people protested and demanded the truth about his death.
To this day, people still suspect Chen was murdered. Taiwan's new law that would declassify sensitive documents might shed light on Chen's case and others like it.
Earlier, we spoke with Seton Hall University professor Maggie Lewis. She's an expert on criminal justice in Taiwan and China, and she told us why transitional justice is important for Taiwan.
Taiwan, as you just said, had this tremendously long period, a half century of authoritarian rule. And during that, there were a number of people who lost their lives. If they didn't actually get killed, they were imprisoned. Their families also suffered. And if you're going to move into the future as a society, you have to grapple with the past.
So what do you think about the government's efforts now to clear the names of victims of that period or to make some reparations?
Right, and the transitional justice push in Taiwan has really taken place over now several decades. So you look back to the 1990s, and then you started to have apologies by the government, and Lee Teng-hui apologizing for at least some of the most egregious harms. So you look back to the 228, the February 28th, 1947 incident. This was a scuffle that turned into a very violent suppression of the then native population and leading to the death of unknown thousands of people. So you had an apology that came first from the government, then that was followed up by slowly starting to release information about what happened to people who had been disappeared or otherwise harmed, and then you started to see compensation, and that all happened before even Tsai Ing-wen took office. When Tsai Ing-wen took office, what was important too was you also had the DPP as the majority in the legislature. So you not just had the president saying we need to take the next step in transitional justice, you actually had the political means to do so.
Now, as a lawyer, I'm curious to know what you think the next laws should be passed in Taiwan to deal with transitional justice.
And some of it, again, is law, but a lot of it is implementation. As a person who studies what I think of as law in action, you can have the prettiest laws on the books, but if you're not fully implementing them, it just sort of is something that looks nice. I do think that getting as much information out about people's past, opening up files, of course there are going to be some national security issues, but I think those are often overemphasized when a lot of this is just about people who want to know what happened to their family. And that seems to me something that should be less partisan. I also think that we're now close to 6,000 convictions that have been overturned. That should be continued to look at because that's a hugely powerful thing for someone and their family to have that addressed. There's been quite a bit of monetary compensation. That's something to keep looking at. But of course, you can't give people back time or lives. So I don't want to say that that's the answer. And then it's really, I think, going to be the longest process dealing with the imagery. What do we do about what's on the money? What do we do about national monuments? And that, I think, is going to perhaps be the slowest part of this process.
Again, that was criminal justice expert Maggie Lewis with her thoughts on transitional justice here in Taiwan. For the complete interview, check out the RTI English YouTube channel.
Each week on Taiwan by Number, we introduce a facet of Taiwan via a number. And today we're going to talk about the animals at the Taipei Zoo. So I'm going to ask Andrew a question. So Andrew, how many animals do you think are at the Taipei Zoo?
No!
You don't have to give me an exact number.
I was afraid you were going to ask this. How many animals at the Taipei Zoo?
Besides the insects and the fish, okay?
Beside the insects and fish. Well, I feel comfortable just randomly guessing because I have no idea. I'm going to say 3,200. And that includes all the birds that land in the trees.
Okay, we'll find out in a moment.
Okay.
But let's take a look at this video about the newest animal to come to the Taipei Zoo.
All right.
Taipei Zoo's newest house guest is furry and has a big pair of round eyes. Her name is Hira, and she's an ai, a species of lemur native to Madagascar. Hira is on loan from Ueno Zoo in Tokyo, and she arrived in Taiwan on July 1st. Ai-Is are the world's largest nocturnal primate, and their diets consist mostly of insects. Their name means song in Malagasy. Zoo official Xie Xinyi says that Malagasy people believe these animals resemble demons and that their appearance is often an omen. Once thought to be extinct, Ai-Is are listed as an endangered species. Ai-Is are poached, resulting in a dwindling population. There are only 57 Ai-Is in captivity. In order to ensure a smooth handover, the Taipei Zoo sent its own staff to learn about the animals' habitats beforehand. Hira is now accompanied by a team of experts from Japan to help her get settled in her temporary home.
So isn't that ai cute?
It's very cute.
So I actually talked to the zoo this week, and they said they're going to try to find a mate for it.
Oh.
And if they do, and if they both adjust well and have a baby here, the whole family can stay in Taiwan.
But if they can't, they have to go back?
Well, if they can't adjust well, then they should go back, right?
Yeah.
But I did ask you how many animals there were. And you know, this number changes every day. Does that make sense? There's some being born, some die.
Yes.
So actually, we only have a rough ballpark number. Let's take a
Okay.
look.
All right. Oh, wow.
So over 2,000.
Okay.
So you're kind of close, I
Well,
guess.
I was going to say 20,000, so
20,000.
Glad I reeled it in.
Right. Now I have another question
Okay.
about animals. How many types of animals do you think there are at the Taipei Zoo?
How many types of animals?
Right. Like we can have 5 giraffes, 10 giraffes, but how many types of animals?
Okay, so if there are 2,000 animals total, I'm going to say there are probably no more than 3 of each. I'll say there's like 1,000.
Okay, let's take a look at this answer.
Oh.
So only 300. Well, 300 is a lot, actually.
Actually, you know what? I feel good about 300 because that means it's like whole families.
Right,
It's not
maybe like 5 to 10 of each, right?
Good.
See those cute little like swans?
Other animals that speak the same language. That's
right.
nice.
Isn't that adorable?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have some more questions for you.
Okay.
Now, our most famous animal is Yuanzai, the panda that was born at the Taipei Zoo, and she just had her birthday this week. How old is she, Andrew?
I think I know the answer to this
Okay.
one. I think she is 6.
All right, let's take a look. Yes, you're right, Andrew. And look at that birthday cake.
Thank you. That is a cute birthday
Isn't it?
cake. She didn't eat that, did she? She
It's
must
made
have.
of her favorite food, like just fruit and, you know,
Oh.
plants and everything.
So it is edible.
Of course.
Okay, good,
Yes.
good.
Now, did you know that the Taipei Zoo is one of the 10 largest zoos in the world?
10 largest?
Yes.
Wait, did you just give me the answer?
No. But how large is it in terms of hectares?
Oh, Natalie. I'm going to say it is. I'm going to say it's 5 hectares.
All right, let's take a look at the answer.
Oh, I mean, that's what I meant. 165 hectares.
That wouldn't make it the largest, one of the largest in Asia and the world.
It's like The Price is Right. You choose a small number and everything above that is right, right?
So, okay, we'll go on to the next question.
Okay.
This is about the life of Pi.
What?
The movie, The
movie?
Life of Pi.
Okay.
Directed by Ang Lee. It was shot in Taiwan.
Uh-huh.
Okay, people didn't know that. Well, some people didn't know that. It was actually shot at the Taipei Zoo. The opening scene, the first 4 minutes of the zoo animals were shot at the Taipei Zoo.
Really?
Yes.
I knew it was shot partially in Taiwan. I didn't know it was shot at the zoo.
Yes, it was a
Okay.
beautiful scene. And there are lots of animals. How many animals were in that scene? Types of animals.
Is it too late to pull out my iPad and start looking at the movie? I'm going to say there were 10 animals.
Okay, let's take a look. Actually, you're really close.
Oh, wow,
It's
9.
9. Yeah.
Okay.
9 types of animals, and the flamingos were one of them.
And now I want to go back and rewatch the beginning of that movie.
It's a beautiful scene. You should really check it out.
All right.
And the movie won an Academy Award for Best Cinematography,
Mm-hmm.
so and also Best Director. Okay, one more question,
Okay.
and this is exciting. The Taipei Zoo just opened its rainforest house this week. It's a
Oh.
new house that they've been working on for 13 years to build.
13 years.
Yes, it has a rainforest in it. And in it are some endangered animals. And also you can see sloths and endangered animals.
I
and
love sloths.
They are cute.
So
and you can
cute.
see them up close. Now, my question is, and this is one other reason to visit the zoo, how much is an entrance, a ticket to get into the zoo?
Oh, okay. I know it's really inexpensive.
Yeah.
Like incredibly inexpensive when you look at what you get for that price.
Right, and what other zoos around the world cost.
I think it must be like 250 NT. So like $9.
Let's take a
$8?
look. It's only 60 NT.
What?
That's for an adult, and for a student, it's only 30 NT.
What?
$1 US for a student, $2 US for an adult.
That's amazing. That is a
So,
bargain.
Isn't that a great reason, another great reason to go to the Taipei Zoo?
Gonna have to go and check it out.
And you can check out the sloths up close.
Yeah, moving very slowly. Very cool. I'm gonna have to do that.
So, well, that is our Taiwan by number for this week. This week on Hashtag Taiwan, our social media guru, Leslie Lau, joins us again to tell us what's trending on social media. Welcome,
Leslie.
Good
Leslie.
to be back, you guys. Thanks for having me.
So today you're going to be telling us about another tweet which has gone viral.
That's right. So earlier this week, the U.S. approved a $2.2 billion arms package sale to Taiwan. Now, with the impending stories on global media coming, one netizen got a little creative and created a bingo card. Political researcher Lev Nachman tweets, with the arms sales to Taiwan and Tsai's upcoming trip to the U.S., I went ahead and made a Taiwan cliches, inaccuracies, and bad takes bingo.
Very cool. So you could actually use this bingo card when you're reading the international stories about Taiwan.
If you've got nothing better to do.
Okay, let's look at the top left corner, Renegade Province. Some media use that, but that's not the way that Taiwan defines itself.
That's right. And also one inaccuracy that I love to talk about, you can see that on there as well. Chiang Kai-shek founded Taiwan in 1949. That's not true. The Republic of China, which is the name of Taiwan's government, was founded in 1912 by Sun Yat-sen.
And an example of a bad take here would be whenever a story is framed from the perspective of China. So, for example, in the fourth row here, you will see there are actually two tiles that highlight angering China.
Now let's take a look at how people responded to this card on Twitter.
So Josh Mooney tweets, "You forgot Thailand," which is a reference to the common public confusion of Taiwan for Thailand.
Yes, too common. And another tweet highlights another often overlooked aspect of Taiwan.
Waguiji tweets, "Just playing with one to keep it simple." The post hones in on the pretending indigenous Taiwanese don't exist tile. People often forget there are about 500,000 indigenous Taiwanese on the island.
Now, many people praised this bingo card as a successful commentary on the international media's portrayal of Taiwan. However, one netizen was a little bit nostalgic about one of the cliches.
So in direct contrast to what Natalie said earlier, Julian Baum tweets, "I've always liked Renegade Province. For a while in the 90s, it was the name for one of the Taipei American School's soccer teams."
Great name.
All right, so with this bingo sheet, some people are now using it when they read the news.
And Grace Jackson finally tweets, "When bingo is this easy though, it isn't actually fun." She posts a BBC article that would probably allow her to cross off more than a few tiles.
That's this week's Hashtag Taiwan. Be sure to follow us on social media and do leave a comment. We would love to hear from you.
Finally, today we leave you with our parting shot. Now, at the top of our show, we showed you a photo and asked if you knew where it was. Let's take one more look at that photo.
Where in Taiwan is this? Let's have a look at the answer. These animals are located at the National Palace Museum in Taipei, which is home to some of the most renowned treasures from ancient China.
Now, the National Palace Museum worked with zoos in Taipei, Kaohsiung, and Hsinchu, and with the National Museum of Marine Biology and Aquarium to create this special exhibit, NPM Zoo. It's designed specifically for children. It shows them animals in various media. They can see vivid portrayals of tigers, lions, and monkeys on scroll paintings that are hundreds of years old. They can compare them with photographs and specimens of the same animal. Look at that.
Wow. And officials say that kids usually aren't that interested in ancient Chinese art, so they hope the exhibit will give them some newfound appreciation. And the exhibit runs through September 25th.
So very cool. If it's too hot to go to the zoo, bring your kids to the National Palace
or
Museum.
go to both.
Well, we hope you enjoyed this edition of Taiwan Insider. Be sure to connect with us on social media and leave a comment below.
Yes, and check out the links below for some information about the topics we covered today. For Taiwan Insider, I'm Natalie So.
And I'm Andrew Ryan. See you next week.